we will start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we have 3 verses to cover today. Chapter 18, text 26, 27, and 28. Mohan, others, why don't you come inside? Now we have 3 verses. I think we have about 21 people in here. Is that correct? Can someone count?
Yes, sir.
Is that it, 21?
No.
How many? You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many people in here? How many? 18? Oh, okay, 18. So what we'll do is that 6 people, we'll all repeat, but 6 people will do each verse. We can't have all 21 people do each verse. So 6 people, I will say it a couple times, each one, and then 6 people will repeat the first one, 6 people the second, and 6 people the third. So this place marker is in the wrong place, but we know where we are. Okay. Did you find 26? 18th chapter, verse 26 at 720 on this book. Mukta Sango Naham Vadi Driti Utsahab Samanvitahab Siddhi Asidyor Nirvikaraham Karta Satvika Uchate Mukta Sangha Naham Vadi Driti Utsa Samanvitaha Siddhi Asidayor Nirvikaha. Sorry, my eyes are getting a little infected here. Karta Satvika Uchate. Now here's the word for 26. Now I want everyone to listen carefully because we'll read the word for word in the verse, and then another few people will repeat the second verse, 27, and then 28. And then I'm going to go back through after we've read the purport, and I'm going to ask you questions on this. So it's all going to be on the test. So, okay. So listen carefully, because we'll go through it, and then we'll go back through it. That way, sometimes I go too fast because I want to get too much covered. So we'll go all the way through it, and then we'll go back and cover just what we can. Okay. Mukta Sangha. Liberated from all material association. Who wants that? No one wants that? Better want that. Aham Vadi. Without false ego. Driti. With determination. Utsaha. And great enthusiasm. Samanvitaha. Qualified. Siddhi. Imperfection. Asidayo. And failure. Nirvikaraha. Without change. Karta. Worker. Satvikaha. In the mode of goodness. Uchate. Is said to be. Srila Prabhupada's translation of verse 26. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A person in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental to the material modes of nature. He has no expectations for the result of the work entrusted to him, because he is above the false ego and pride. Still, he is always enthusiastic till the completion of such work. He does not worry about the distress undertaken. He is always enthusiastic. He does not care for success or failure. He is equal in both distress and happiness. Such a worker is situated in the mode of? That's good. Okay. Text 27. Ragi, karma, phala, prepsur, lupto, himsatmako, suchi, harsha, sokanvita, karta, rajasaha, parikirtita, rajakarmi phala prepsur, lupto himsat mako suchi, harsha sokanvita karta, rajsa parikirtitaha. Word for word. Ragi, very much attached. Karma phala, the fruit of the work. Prepsu, desiring. Lupta, greedy. Himsa atmakaha, always envious. Asuchi, unclean. Harsha soka anvitaha, subject to joy and sorrow. Karta, such a worker. Rajasaha, in the mode of passion. Parikirtitaha, is declared. Translation to verse 27. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A person who is too much attached to a certain kind of work or to the result because he has too much attachment for materialism or hearth and home, wife and children. Such a person has no desire for a higher elevation in life. He is simply concerned with making this world as materially comfortable as possible. He is generally very greedy, and he thinks that anything attained by him is permanent and never to be lost. Boy, good luck with that. Such a person is envious of others and is prepared to do anything wrong for sense gratification. Therefore, such a person is unclean, and he does not care whether his earnings is pure or impure. He is very happy if his work is successful and very much distressed when his work is not successful. Such a worker is in the mode of passion. Text 28. Ayuktaha, prakrataha, stabdaha, sato, naishkritiko, lasaha, visadi, dirgha, sutri, cha, karta, tamasa, uchate, ayukta prakrita stabda, sato naish kritiko lasaha, vishadi dirga sutri cha, karta tamasa uchate. Okay, ayuktaha, not referring to the scriptural injunctions. Prakritaha, materialistic. Don't leave now. Okay, all right. Stabda, obstinate, sataha, deceitful, naishkritaha, expert in insulting others, alasaha, lazy, vishadi, morose, dirga sutri, procrastinating, cha, also, karta, worker, tamasaha, in the mode of ignorance, uchate, is said to be. The worker, translation by Srila Prabhupada, the worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of Scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert at insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the scriptural injunctions, we find what sort of work should be performed and what sort of work should not be performed. Those who do not care for these injunctions engage in work not to be done, and such persons are generally materialistic. They work according to the modes of nature, not according to the injunctions of the scripture. Such workers are not very gentle, and generally they are always cunning and expert in insulting others. They're very lazy. Even though they have some duty, they do not do it properly, and they put it aside to be done later on. It's always later. Therefore, they appear to be morose. They procrastinate. Anything which could be done in an hour, they drag on for years. Such workers are situated in the mode of ignorance. So, Om Jnana Timiranya Sagana Gana Salakaya Chaksurin Milatanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So how do we end up in one of these modes of material nature? That wasn't rhetorical. How do we end up in one of those? No. By our activities. By what we think and what we do and what we say. There's a kind of corny saying, but it goes like this. I reveal the way I feel by the things I say and do. By changing the things I say and do, I can change my feelings too. You can't say, I was born in the mode of goodness, so I can do all nonsense. Is that true? You are robbing the bank in Mathura. When the police come, you say, you can't arrest me. I was born in an honest family. Does that help you? No. Do they give you jewelry? They do. A matching set of bracelets that they put on your wrist to take you away. So remember, I'm going to ask you questions about this. You know, Krishna discusses the different modes in order. Now you would think that he would talk about the worst one, ignorance first, and then work up to passion, and then explain goodness. So why, particularly in this one in work, why does he explain goodness first? No ideas?
I think according to the intelligence of scriptures.
But particularly on a practical level, why is what is in the mode of goodness there explained first?
Because that is the best that you should be at.
Well, more than that, why doesn't he explain that last then? Save the best for last. Yes.
Goodness is first because Satya Guna is first, then
No, I'm looking for something more. Practically, why is he explaining this?
why is he explaining this?
Yes.
They come in Satyuga. Because of Satyuga.
No, it's a simple practical matter.
I think it's the first line of the purport. Is it because
That's the point. If you practice this mode of goodness and you become transcendental to the modes of material nature, you don't have to worry about it, right? Like if, let's say somebody is in the tamagun, mode of ignorance, they might have to be explained. Now, don't drink any alcohol today. Sometimes people try to quit these things and they have to work with a support group and they remind them every day, now remember, don't drink today. Now, if someone's coming to the temple and they're practicing Krishna consciousness and they're transcendental and they're feeling free and happy and peaceful, you don't have to remind them after Mangal Artik, now remember not to drink any alcohol today, do you? So if you have this mode of goodness, then you don't need to worry about the others. That's the point. If you have to practice this. So one of the attitudes in this, what's the difference in the attitudes in these modes? In somebody, if they have a little difficulty obtaining success, either materially in their preaching problem, or even if they're having problem slipping a little in Krishna consciousness, what is the mode of goodness attitude about this? Is it to cry and go home? What is the mode of goodness attitude? Even if someone has some difficulty in Krishna consciousness, or their projects don't work out right, or something, what do they do? More than neutral. What does it say in here?
They continue chanting.
They continue the process. We see here, we go back to this, is they're just trying to serve. It's like if a mother is taking care of a child. If the child cried too much yesterday, she gives up today, right? Leaves it at someone else's house? Is that it? No? She tries again. So this is what we think from here. We'll go back to this. These important points and work here. So, what is it that we don't associate with? Or particularly in this verse, what is it saying? What don't we associate with? It's something being discussed in this chapter. What is it we're going over? The modes of material nature. We're just trying to do the service and trying to please Krishna. And what do we do if there's failure? What do we do different if there's failure instead of success? What is the difference? You keep doing it. It's even like I told Tukaram in Laguna Beach. If money's coming in, you keep doing the preaching work. And if money's not, then you still keep doing the preaching work. Even Warren Buffett, who's like the top businessman in America, he says, even if things are getting difficult, we just keep doing what we're doing. So he's kind of a worker in the mode of goodness because most of his money goes to charity. But he has that idea, you keep doing what you're doing. If you're having a bad day, if your mind is having trouble, you get up and do what? Chant to Krishna, yes? If the Sunday feast comes and 500 people come, you preach to them, right? If only 20 come, what do? You do the same thing. It's not that the success or failure is there for you. This is where this attitude of steadiness, unwavering, is we just try to keep serving Krishna. You know, it's like sometimes if we're worried about getting sick, we get the thermometer and they take the temperature many times a day. You know, spiritually, we should be more concerned with how we're making Krishna feel than thinking, well, how do I feel now? Am I lamenting a little? That's why we do a regulated thing. If things go badly, what happens when it's japa time? We chant. And if things went well, what do we do? If yesterday was bad, what do we do at 4:30? We get up at 4:30. Then you come like some of these people. If you notice something, the Mangal Artik always starts at the same time. So you better get up before that. That's the key. If you're going to do it, you better get up at somewhere between 3:40 to 4:01, right? If you get up at 4:30, then I see some people do this, they get to the end and then they make a big scene and lay themselves out for 3 minutes paying obeisances. We call this the fan club because they come at the end. Now, if you really want to make a big scene and show that you're there, walk in about 4:25 and say, okay, everybody, I'm here for Mangal Artik. But don't make a scene about 4:50 when they're just finishing the flowers of the fan, and you say, okay, I'm here now. Well, come 5 minutes early and say, I'm here for Mangal Artik. If you have to make a drama out of it, at least do it before you're disturbing everybody. So many people lay out, they're not even supposed to be in the front, and they lay out and cover it for 3-4 minutes. So part of it is in the planning. We don't get up at 4:30. So if it was bad or good, which time do we come to Mangal Artik? We go each time and we try to serve Krishna, just like the successful salesperson. Whether yesterday was good or bad, we just trying to please Krishna. And who's the one that makes a success, Krishna or us? Krishna. Because if we try to depend on ourselves or self-will, we're going to end up in trouble. That's lots of people who've tried this. But I'm glad you got the point where this is it, as he said to from the mode of goodness. If we practice that, then we don't have to worry about what the other modes are. If they make you the Prime Minister of India, they say, oh, India has other jobs too. Well, what are I worried about other jobs? So that is the thing to get here. And what does it have different than the other ones here? He performs it with what? Enthusiasm and what else? Determination. Now what does determination mean? That's part of it, but it's like Krishna says in the end of Bhagavad-Gita. He says, deliberate fully. So it's just like when they have a court case and the jury goes into the back and they deliberate, what is it called at the end? A what? They said, have you come to a determination? I have come to a determination that I'm going to India. That means I've thought about it carefully and I've made a resolve. It is, of course, the striving, but it means that you have determined, you have deliberated carefully, and you've decided that you don't want this particular mode of passion, enjoyment, and you do want Krishna's association. It's a state of mind. I have determined through this deliberation that this is what I want and this is what I don't want. This is what Sankhya. Sankhya means adding it up. We're going to decide what is good and accept it, decide what is bad and reject it. And that's very simple. But it's not always easy. But Krishna says it is possible by constant practice and detachment. So we make a determination. What do I want to do? And that's why it helps. When the alarm goes off, do we turn on the news? We made a determination that I'm going to get prepared to go to the temple. If you're not sure where you're going, it's going to be very difficult to get there. That's kind of the mode of passion. In the mode of goodness, you've determined the right action and you go there, correct? We have two other courses. One person is not sure. Another person thinks that the wrong thing is actually the best thing to do. Which of those is in passion and which is in ignorance? One person is not sure, and the other person thinks that the wrong thing is the best thing to do. Which mode is he in?
Ignorance.
He's in ignorance. See, that's the thing in ignorance. It's hard for them, is that they're sure. It's like if I go out to the corner here and take a right turn thinking I'm going to Loy Bazaar, I'm going to be in more trouble than if I'm confused about which way to go. Because if I'm confused, maybe I'll ask someone for direction. So this shows us if we are confused, then we find someone who knows the way. The spiritual master, other godbrothers, people who are studying the scripture, we find out from them. So if we're in the mode of goodness, we may not be reminded. But some people are trying to get out of the mode of goodness. They need to be reminded every day. Some of these people have to call someone every day and say, okay, I won't go out and have illicit sex or drink alcohol today. That's okay. It takes what it takes for them to get there. But if we're in the mode of goodness, we automatically have this and don't have to worry what the other kinds of things are. But it helps us to know what they are. So what does it say in 27, in the beginning of the purport and the beginning of the verse, that gives us an idea? There's 3 words that give us an idea about the person in passion and what is different about them than the person in goodness or transcendental. Anybody have an idea on this? Too much attached. This is the key. This is how we know when we're in passion. We're too much attached. Even if we're thinking, instead of turning my mind over to Krishna to have him protect me, if I think I will liberate myself from the material world, it's proper attachment, but that's the whole thing. Too much attachment. And what is the difference in the worker in spiritual and the worker in passion? What?
The work in passion is attached to the fruit.
He wants the results. This is the key. Am I working for the results or am I working for Krishna? This is how we can test our spiritual intent. Am I working for Krishna or am I working for the results? That's why even if someone's a householder and they work in a job, but they give money to Krishna and try to preach, they may be better than a brahmachari who goes out to collect but keeps a certain amount of the money that he is supposed to turn in. What do we call that? It's mentioned here. Then he goes from passion. If there's one thing, if you work, what's the difference between the worker who wants to keep his own results and the person in the mode of ignorance? The person in goodness, he works trying to please Krishna. The person in the mode of passion, he wants to enjoy the results of his own activities. How about the worker in the mode of ignorance? What does he want to do?
Sleep.
No, in this line of work. The goodness wants to give the result to Krishna. The passion wants to get the results of his activities. What about the person in the mode of ignorance? No, in this line. What does he want to do? That's right. In goodness, they want to turn it over to Krishna. In passion, at least they're honorable enough to work and want to keep the results for themselves. The person in the mode of goodness wants not to take his results, but he wants to cheat you out of your results. That's when you can tell you're in the mode. That's why the person, even if they're a karmi and they work and enjoy the fruits for themselves, they're still better than the person who collects for Krishna but keeps it for himself, because that person is in ignorance, because he's cheating Krishna and he's cheating the people who are giving it. So if we're cheating and taking from others, then we're in the mode of goodness. Basically, in our attitude towards others, how can we tell goodness, passion, and ignorance? In goodness, what are we trying to do with others?
Chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Well, but in a couple of words, even material goodness. What?
Benefit others.
We're trying to benefit them. In passion, what are we trying to do? Exploit them. And in ignorance? To cheat and destroy. So this is how we can see what mode we're in by these things going on. And how do they tell particularly if they're in the mode of ignorance? What is the main difference between those in the mode of goodness and those in the mode of ignorance? What do they judge as a reason for their work? They see what the scriptures say. Person in the mode of goodness will go by the injunctions of scriptures. He won't just think what makes the most amount of money. We see some of these people think whatever makes the most amount of money must be good. And that works out very well for them for a short period of time. If you study some of these things of major criminals, we had Al Capone and Lucky Luciano, and then they had Pablo Escobar and the Cali cartel in Colombia. And then in Mexico, they had Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo and Rafael Cara Quintero and Chapo Guzman and a few others. And how well are those people doing today? These people made billions of dollars. And we forgot Amado Fuentes. What happened with those? They made the goal. They made billions of dollars. Pablo Escobar made 30 billion. Amado Fuentes made 25 billion. So those people must be doing well today, right? Some of them even had support of parts of governments. How well are they doing today? Well, Lucky Luciano died in prison. Al Capone went to prison. Pablo Escobar was killed. The brothers from the Cali cartel are in prison in Miami. Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo tried to run it without much violence, but still he paid off the Mexican government, and then they blamed him for things, and he's been in prison since 1989. He made a bunch of money, but they more or less sealed this door shut. He's never been out of that cell since 1989. That's a while ago, isn't it? 1989, that's like 30 years ago. And what about the others? What about Chapo Guzman? They just put him in prison in America. So all these people had a lot of power and made a lot of money, but they're either dead or stuck away in a cell. And so it's okay because I used to have a lot of money. So I bet they're in the mode of ignorance now, because what are they doing, the ones who are alive? Are they happy and enlightened in Krishna consciousness? Are they hankering, or are they lamenting? If you made billions of dollars and now you don't even get to get out of your cell, are you going to be lamenting? Yes? So how much good did it do them? So that's why we have to think, how these things are going. And we have to, that's why Sankhya means counting, add it up. We add it up. Okay, we think a mode of goodness is happy, joyous, and free, but I have to wait. And the mode of ignorance is painful in the beginning and painful in the end. Therefore, the pleasure in the mode of passion must be the best, because you get the happiness right away. It's like the organized criminals. They'll lend you money right now. You don't have to go to a bank and apply for a loan and show collateral. But if you don't pay it back, they break arms and legs. But you got the money right away. Just like in passion, you got the pleasure right away. That's all that counts, right? Don't worry about what you have to pay later, right? Say, I'll get you a mango. I'll deliver it now. Don't worry, you'll pay later. Say, oh, what was the price of that? Oh, it's 1 crore of rupees. But you got the mango right now and out of season, and it was a big one, so it doesn't matter, right? So Sankhya means counting. Just like Krishna says, we should think of things before we do them. Now, like Mangalartik, we get up and we go to it, but we've also deliberated due to experience and instructions that this would be a thing that I have determined. I'm determined because I have determined that this is the best thing to do. We've come to a determination. We made a decision. We don't just practice spiritual life like, well, if it feels good, I'll chant today, or if nothing else is going on, I'll chant. We've made a determination that that is the best thing to do. We've made a mental choice. We've made a decision to do these certain items to serve Krishna. We have determined that that is what we are going to do, and we're not going to do something else. So it comes to that, making a decision. We start the day, that alarm clock goes off. We make a determination to either wake up and get ready to go to the Mangal Arti. And the problem with the mind, if someone else, the first thing they did was grab a bottle of alcohol and they drink it, are they going to make it to Mangal Arti? Eventually they may need help, but that's the first thing on their mind. But when we wake up, we don't even think of that, because we have determined that what we want, because we have a spiritual experience. It's just like you may not be thinking about electricity all the time, But if you're in the shower and you stick a fork in the socket, you will be conscious of electricity. Yes? So because we go to the temple and we feel Krishna's presence, and we understand that the other things we do are going to be a lot more effort, cost a lot more money, and make us a lot more miserable. This is the Sankhya, we added up. This one can be done by anyone. All you have to do is get yourself to there. All you have to do is wake up and get yourself to the temple. Now, to go off and for a man to go and find many beautiful women, does he do that with little money or a lot of money? What? It takes a lot of money. They see the pictures of these very beautiful women. How can these women be had for a few rupees? No, they want a lot of money. A lot of money, yes? And someone else comes along with more, then they're done with him. So can everybody make crores of rupees? No. But can anybody come to Mangalarti? You may be determined to do that, but if you're determined to make 10 crore of rupees a day, can you do it? No, it isn't possible for everyone. So the spiritual things are not only better, but they're actually more accessible. This is the great miracle of this. Even though we're much more happy and much more free, and whether we succeed or fail, we still succeed, how can you get it in that? Right? You go work for one of these car dealerships in Delhi and you don't sell any cars. Do they say, oh, we'll pay you commission for selling 10 cars? Do they? No. They probably fire you if you don't do it too many days, right? So where else can we, just by being determined to do it, and even if we had failure, if we just wake ourselves up, go forward and not be concerned with success or failure, but we make a determination. As it says here, determination means that we have made a determination and we stick with that. We made a decision, just like when the judge makes a decision. He says, you're going to jail for 10 years. This is what we call a commitment. Can you break that? No. So we need the same kind. Can you break a commitment? No, because then it's not really a commitment. So we may make this determination, maybe not just at one point, but we make this determination every day. We wake up, we have the determination. Enthusiasm is the God within. We're enthusiastic to try to serve Krishna. Because when we decide that, okay, I want Krishna, I don't want this, we find that Krishna really reciprocates us very easily. And we take the other path, we get just a meager amount of pleasure, and then we get 10 times the suffering. So we know this through experimentation and Sankhya adding it up, but we just have to let Krishna take charge. Just like when you've made the determination to get on an airplane. Do you have to know that this pilot is good and it'll go to the destination? No, you just have to get to, you just have to make the determination and have faith that that will be safe. But amazingly enough, people have fears not based on knowledge. Like many more people would be afraid to get on, say, the Emirates airplane than they would be to drive in India. But which one is safer? Which one? The Emirates, because in India, they kill 500 people every day with cars. Maybe it's more. They kill like 145,000 every year. So what does that come to? That comes to 3 times, about 500 a day or 145,000 a year. How many people has the Emirates Airlines lost? None, ever. But I'll bet people who drive around here, I see some people who drive who obviously don't have a license. And some of them even appear to be drunk. But I bet you put that person on the airplane and he's going to be more afraid. So they think that their determination is great. But the mode of ignorance is like people think in India there are no traffic laws. It's not true, but they think that. And they think it's safe to drive without traffic laws and maybe drive with alcohol too. It's not. But to get on an airline where they have done the proper thing and the pilot is not drunk, this is safe. And then you don't have to worry if they had enough fuel, if they know how to get to here and there, if the navigation, all the equipment is in order. And one thing we see by intelligence, if the airplane runs without any trouble, and we see people in a rickshaw, it breaks down, that means more intelligence went into making the airplane than the rickshaw, correct? Right? Like if one place the train is always on time, that means more intelligence in there is that it's late, right? So people think that, well, all this stuff arranged, like the electricity and the trains, they're run by people, right? Takes intelligence. Is the electricity ever go off or the train's ever late? Is it?
No.
What do you mean, no? How often does the electricity go off? It goes off, yes? Even with people. How often does the sun not come up? It comes up. You can look at his schedule. It comes on schedule every single day. Go on the schedule and look at the sunrise tomorrow, and it comes up then. Now, of course, it may be actual time instead of solar, but it comes up. So this determines that who is ever controlling the sun has a greater degree of intelligence than who's controlling the electricity or the train. This has to be obvious, doesn't it? Has to be. Otherwise, it would come late sometimes. How can it that the thing that happens just by chance is always on time, but the thing that's controlled by intelligence, sometimes it makes a mistake? This is totally. God is beyond logic, but he's not illogical. In the Bible where they say that God was the Word was logos, or logic. When we see logic, we see that there's God there. The fact that you know, people get confused like by the moon and the sun because the moon doesn't go on the same cycle. Like how many hours is it from sunrise to sunrise? Anybody know? How long?
12 hours.
What?
12 hours.
From sunrise to sunrise? Actually, it's 23 hours and 53 minutes, but let's call it 24. How about from moonrise to moonrise?
Same.
No, it's 25 hours. Because the moon cycle has nothing to do with the sun cycle. That's why they say there's 12 months in a year. But there aren't, because the months have nothing to do, the moon has nothing to do with the sun. There's about 12 and a third. And they make this concoction in the West. Some months have 28, some have 31. No, they all have 28 and a half days. Every month is exactly the same amount of time. They're not different. It's only because they're trying to adjust it to go along with the sun. But these things run in perfect order. So we have faith that if someone is running it in perfect order, which would you rather get on to go to America? The Emirates airplane or the rickshaw driver here that doesn't look like he knows where he's going? Or if you see a rickshaw driver and he's 15, you can know for sure that he doesn't have a driver's license, correct? So when we see that something is working well, we place our faith there. So instead of trying to go on our own energy, we place our faith that whether I've had success, I still have to place faith in Krishna. And even if I've had failure, if I place faith in Krishna, he can protect me anyway. Krishna says he preserves what we have and he carries what we lack. And if he has to do more carrying, it isn't a big deal for him. He isn't like Atlas who's holding the world on his shoulder like it's a big rock and he can't. Krishna says, I support and pervade these universes with a fragment of my energy. So what we have to do is try to work on this verse. If we work as this verse says, we don't need to worry about the rest. Please listen as no, they're not reading that one. One who performs his duty without association in the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success and failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. If we do that and keep reminding ourselves of that, we don't have to worry about the others. If there's several kinds of medicine to cure a disease, and they give you one and you're cured, do you worry about what the others are or what the disease might lead to? No, because you got the cure. So even though we read the others, which one of those do we concentrate and do? Which one? The one we just read. We don't waver in success or failure. We get up and we just try to please Krishna. Do some service, do some reading, do some chanting, and don't be affected. Determination means we've made a decision and we stick with that decision. So is there any doubt about these? If we practice that, is everything else covered? Is it? So we can read that often. We find we have to keep reminding ourselves sometimes of these things. And we do the Sankhya, we add it up. When I engaged in Krishna's service, I was happy and I was free from the shackles of modes of nature. And how long will it take to do that? As soon as we make this determination to surrender, Krishna provides the ways and means to make it possible. We just have to make that determination. So we make a determination to stick on Krishna's path. And a lot of it's that, like we make the determination to get in the boat. Once we get in the boat, then we just have to do our duty on the boat. We don't have to understand the laws of navigation. We just have to stay in the boat and do our duty. I remember that in taking the boat from California out to Catalina, you could see many sharks in the water which could eat you. But as long as I stay in the boat, I'm safe. But as soon as I jump out of the boat, I can be eaten in a second. So we'll have faith in the boat of Krishna conscious knowledge. Thank you.